What's up, PTB Nation? Welcome back after quite a delay, after quite a hiatus, almost 6 weeks. Welcome back to the Parking the Bus podcast here on the PTB Media Network. I'm your host, the Mr. Mike Agostinho. You see right there on your screen. You see my name there and you see my handle. Go ahead over to Twitter, give me a follow, and also follow the show at PTB_media. How are y'all doing? It has been a crazy weekend filled with football, and I want to thank anyone who's watching this and not American football right now. I didn't think this through when I started the idea of a Sunday night live talk show. I forgot all about it because, to be honest with you, American football barely exists to me. It is so outside of my world and so outside of my everyday reality. I didn't even think that on Sunday nights in the fall, people here in the United States do something else, but it's all good. Whoever is not watching now can watch at any time. On Twitter, you can see us right now on Twitter on the Parking the Bus handle at PTV_media. Also available right now on my Facebook page and available on www.parkingthebusmedia.com. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's just start. Let's just start in the biggest one of them all. Let's start in the Premier League. It was round 7 in the Premier League today, or this weekend, I should say. Let's go through the results starting yesterday. And as you know, we had Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League throughout midweek. So a lot of teams playing with rotated squads this weekend. None probably more noticeable than Manchester United. They got things started off yesterday with the early game. Man United hosting Everton 1-1, the result in that one. Goals in this one were scored by Anthony Martial for Manchester United, while Andros Townsend scored for Everton. And yeah, Ole again. Ole, this is what I think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, okay? This is a man who has a Ferrari, but he can't drive stick. He literally cannot run this team. He literally cannot manage this team. Why on earth is this club still got this manager, other than the fact of the obvious, the fact that he does not ruffle any feathers? He does not upset the Glazers. He does not upset Ed Woodward. But man, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Rafael Varane, Edison Cavani. You can't keep dropping points. This league is airtight. It is so tight. I think this Premier League race could be very tight this season. Okay, fixture congestion will be a big factor. Yes, it will be a factor because teams are playing a lot of matches. Now we're going into an international break. You know what that means? That means some of these guys are going to go play 3 games in the next 7 to 8 days and then come back and play again as soon as they get back. United dropping 2 more points at home again. That's 5 straight points dropped at Old Trafford. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. But you know what? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has the protection of his buddies in the media. I'm talking about Rio Ferdinand. I'm talking about Gary Neville. They are protecting him. They do not criticize him. They'll go as far as to criticize Cristiano Ronaldo instead. And let's talk about that for a minute because we haven't been on the air here for about 6 weeks. The last time the Parking the Bus podcast went live, Cristiano Ronaldo was a Juventus player. Now he's at Manchester United. And I was traveling that day that this all happened. I was driving down the East Coast. And I thought he had signed with Manchester City. I had seen an alert and I had it in good understanding that he had signed with Manchester City. This is funny. I got a text from a certain Manchester City supporter. You may know him. He's been on the show plenty of times. And he said, it's happening. It's finally happening. And I had no idea what he was talking about. All right. I get to Virginia Beach. I get to my hotel room. I look at it and I got the alert. Cristiano Ronaldo signs with Manchester United, not City. And I said, wait a sec. What did I get wrong here? Then I said, finally, the GOAT has returned home where he belongs. The GOAT belongs at Manchester United. That said, I waited a day and I texted that certain somebody back And I said, hey, I never knew you. I thought you were a City fan. Why were you so excited that Ronaldo signed at Manchester United? And he didn't talk to me for weeks after that. But anyway, listen, they brought him in. He's got 4 goals in like 6 matches, okay, in all competitions right now. The team is depending heavily on him. And in fact, he's even weighing so heavy that last week, we didn't have a show, but most of you will know, against Aston Villa, Bruno Fernandes was given the ball to take the penalty kick. A lot of the talk before Ronaldo went to United, or once he had signed, and before they had played, was who's going to take the penalty kicks? Who's going to take the penalty kicks, they asked. Well, we found out Ole gave the opportunity to Bruno Fernandes, but you know what? And it's not that Bruno Fernandes can't take a penalty. The weight and the pressure of knowing he's taking it instead of Cristiano Ronaldo, I think ended up being too much. He didn't even take his normal penalty. He didn't have his normal approach. He didn't do anything that he normally does when he takes a penalty, and he went and just hit it as hard as he could, and he sent it skyward, and United lost that game, and now they dropped 2 more points here to Everton, and I think they got to sort this out. They really got to sort this out. I said this 2.5, however many years ago, when Jose Mourinho was sacked at Manchester United, I said to just about anybody I was talking to at that time, United needed to go get Julian Nagelsmann at that time. He was the perfect choice for this team. Young, innovative, humble. He can coach varying levels of ability. He can handle pressure. He's doing fine. I mean, yes, Bayern dropped their first match at home in 30 this weekend, but Julian Nagelsmann, there is no doubt how good of a manager he is. But, you look at it, and they didn't go with him. They went with the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he was safe, because he's a club legend. He's mostly a substitute, but people have very fond memories of him because of that goal in the 99 Champions League final. Whatever. Good for him. Good for you. I remember it too. It was a celebratory occasion in my house as well, but he doesn't cut it as a manager. I'm sorry. He just is not a manager. Point and simple. He cannot do this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managing Manchester United is the equivalent of somebody trying to drive a Ferrari who can't drive stick, who can only drive an automatic. You're going to buy a Ferrari in an automatic, you ain't getting a Ferrari. There's no point if you don't know how to shift gears yourself. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer cannot shift the gears in this car. He can only drive automatic. All right, moving on. Burnley 0-0 at home against Norwich. Chelsea continue their good form, rebounding after the loss last week to Manchester City. They win 3-1 at home to Southampton. Their goal scorers in this one, Chalobah, Werner, and Chilwell, the goal scorers, while Ward-Prowse scored from the spot for Southampton. And Chelsea, go top again. Chelsea are one of the strongest teams. This is a strong league. Like I said, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, for me, the top 3. United, much closer than they were. I know they finished in second last year. I'm not talking about table-wise. I'm talking in terms of quality. United benefited last year from getting knocked out of Champions League early and using a secondary squad in the Europa League. And they ended up getting a lot of points and getting able to get closer. And they benefited from other teams being tied up in the Champions League and finding their way through those Champions League phases and dropping points along the way. But they weren't even close to the title. Let's be honest. So the way I see it, I see those 3 and I see United chasing them. I don't see them too far behind. And when you got CR7 in your lineup, you're gonna get points. You're gonna win games that you maybe shouldn't have. Case in point, the Champions League earlier this week. But that's a topic for another one. But Chelsea, 3 points at home. Leeds United with the big win. They win 1-0 at home to Watford. Their goal was scored by Diego Llorente, that is. And 3 points for Marcelo Bielsa's side. Wolves get another win. That's 2 in a row for Bruno Lage. My man, Bruno Lage, one of my favorite managers in world football. A young manager with his whole career in front of him. I can't wait to watch and see what happens. I think he's had poor support at Wolves so far. He's only seen players leave. He hasn't seen anybody come in. But now you got a healthy Raul Jimenez, okay? Adama Traore still there, which is good. And you got a Daniel Podence that can come up big for you as well. Good midfield, Moutinho, Neves, and company in the midfield. Wolves, if they focus and if he gets the squad right, if they can find a little bit of form, they can do some interesting things. This is big for them. They win 2-1 at the Molineux over Newcastle, and the goal scorers in this one were He Chang Huang for Wolves. He had both goals actually for Wolves, while Newcastle's goal was scored by Jeff Hendrick. And Wolves, like I said, pick up their second win in back-to-back matches to bring them to 9 points. And then Brighton Hove and Albion draw with Arsenal. Now, today's matches, started early again. Crystal Palace 2-2 draw at home to Leicester City. Leicester's starting to struggle a little bit. They're not where they want to be. Now, this is a club that has been near the top for the past couple seasons, near that Champions League spot. They are the FA Cup holders right now. They won the Community Shield, but they've struggled in Europe, and now they're struggling in the Europa League, and now they're struggling in the league as well. Spurs get back on track as Nuno Espírito Santo's side pick up a 2-1 win at home to Aston Villa, a very informed Aston Villa. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg with a goal, and then an own goal from Aston Villa's Matt Targett in the 71st minute was the difference. Villa get a goal from the very talented Ollie Watkins, but very important for Spurs to get back into the winners column. 3 points for them. A good result for them. Another good result. How about Brentford, the Bees? In their promotion season, they are the promotion playoff winners. This is a team that is always treated as an automatic for relegation. And while it's very, very early and way too early to say they are safe, the Bees start the season flying. They've got a win over Arsenal. They've got a draw last week, 3-3 at home to Liverpool. Today they go into the London Stadium and they beat a strong West Ham side who had European football this week. So again, squad rotation comes in handy. It comes into play, I should say. And Brentford with a shock win as they continue to roll. They get goals from Brian Muimbo and from Ioane Wissa, while West Ham's goal came from Gerard Bowen. 2-1, the final there, and the winner came in the 90th +4 stoppage time winner for Brentford. Heartbreaking for the Hammers. And then the game of the week, the one everyone was talking about, the one that everyone was watching. Liverpool and Manchester City put on an absolute insta classic earlier today at Anfield, and it was a 2-2 draw. Goals from Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah for Liverpool, while City get goals from Phil Foden and from Kevin De Bruyne. So 2-2 is the result there, and it was just a back and forth match. Manchester City had a tough loss midweek on the road at the Parc des Princes versus Paris Saint-Germain. And we'll talk Champions League, not in this one, but there's a Champions League episode dropping in a couple days. All right, I'll recap all of the European action from this past week in that episode. It's a lot of stuff to cover. I missed a lot of stuff, so I'm going to try to put out 3 or 4 episodes this week, catching you up to play. That's going to be one of them, and we'll talk about Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain earlier this week. But it was just a match. Let's look at the lineups in this one. Let's take a little time on this one, as I'll bring up the starting 11, starting with Liverpool. Alisson Becker in goal, of course. 4-3-3 is their formation for Jurgen Klopp, and they go with James Milner in the back along with Joel Matip. Virgil van Dijk and Andrew Robertson are the 4 across the back. Midfield, Fabinho anchors, Curtis Jones to his left, Jordan Henderson, the captain, to his right. And in attack, the striker is Diogo Jota with Sadio Mane to one side and the aforementioned Mohamed Salah to the other. City counters with the same formation, 4-3-3. Ederson is their goalie. It's Brazil's top 2 goalkeepers going off head-to-head against each other. Kyle Walker's the right back for City. Ruben Dias and Aymeric Laporte are the center backs for City, while João Cancelo plays down the left. The three in midfield, Rodri anchoring, Bernardo Silva to his right, Kevin De Bruyne to his left, and in attack, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, and Gabriel Jesus. So Jack Grealish has been a key signing. He was the key signing in the offseason. And they did not, the transfer window, one of the craziest transfer windows. Of course, I was on hiatus at that point. But again, we're talking about it. One of the craziest transfer windows in memory this year. Okay, we saw Messi move. We saw Ronaldo move. We saw, Jack Grealish becomes the next big signing. We saw Harry Kane not move. We saw Harry Kane stay at Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester City was all in on Harry Kane. They didn't get the deal done. So this is the team they got for now. And Jack Grealish has played well since joining Manchester City. However, in this match, he was not as effective. He's got a lower rating in this one. As opposed to Phil Foden, Gabriel Jesus playing in the high, with the rating in the high sevens. Same for the three across the middle, De Bruyne, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva, all 7.7, 7.8. It was, this was a match of titans, but the truth is the league is not decided in these head-to-head matches of the Titans. The league is decided on the matches against the other teams. Who drops points to teams they're supposed to beat? Who gets as many as possible? Who gets as many points as possible against the teams they're supposed to beat ends up being the champion. This was an event-packed week. We got a week off now for the international break. So when the league returns on October the 16th, Watford will host Liverpool. Villa will host Wolves. Leicester host Manchester United. Manchester City host Burnley. Norwich in trouble. They got 1 point, I believe. They're bottom of the table. They are just the epitome of a yo-yo club. They play great in the championship. They win the championship. And then they finish bottom in the Premier League. It's quite a conundrum that they've got here, because on the flip side, you see a team like Brentford, who finished well behind them last season, advanced through the playoffs, and they're off to a flying start in the Premier League. Speaking of Brentford, they host Chelsea at the Brentford Community Stadium in 2 weeks, while Southampton host Leeds. And then on Sunday, October the 17th, Everton host West Ham. Newcastle host Tottenham. Monday the 18th, Arsenal host Crystal Palace. That is the Premier League. Let's take a look, though, at the table now. As Chelsea are leaders through 7 rounds, they have 16 points. One more than Liverpool, who are second with 15. Manchester City, Manchester United, Everton, and Brighton Hove and Albion, all on 14 points. That's places 3 through 6 on 14 points. Brentford, yes, the Bees are in 7th place right now with 12 points. Their goal difference significantly better than Tottenham, who are also on 12 points. 9th place is West Ham on 11. Aston Villa are 10th with 10 points, as are 11th place Arsenal with 10 points. Wolves up to 12th. They've got 9 points now, 3 victories and 4 defeats. Leicester, the Foxes, dropped to 13th. They've got 8. Crystal Palace, Watford, each with 7 points. Leeds United in 16th with 6. Southampton have 4, and then Burnley and Newcastle in the drop zone with 3 apiece. They're 18th and 19th respectively. And as we just said, Norwich City 1 point through 7 matches. That's where we stand right now in the Barclays Premier League. A real quick look at the championship then. Actually, we'll go to the women's game here. We'll go to the WSL, and I'll give you the results for this past week. And that'll segue us to our next topic. So this weekend's results in the WSL, the Women's Super League: Chelsea women win 3-1 over Brighton Hove and Albion. Aston Villa host Arsenal, and Arsenal win 4-0 against the Villa ladies. And then today's match is Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 winners on the road at Leicester City Women's Football Club. Manchester City women lose at home. They're having a tough season. Manchester City, one of the traditional powers of women's football in England, they've been knocked out of the Women's Champions League. That's right. That's our next topic. as the group stage starts this coming week. They were knocked out in the final prelim round by Real Madrid. That's right, Manchester City and Real Madrid women's teams met in a prelim round for the Women's Champions League. Manchester City came up short there then, and today at home they come up short against West Ham. It's 2-0 to the Hammers, who traveled to Manchester for that one. Reading hosting Everton, and Everton 3-0 winners on the road, as were Manchester United ladies, who traveled to Birmingham and won 2-0. The table in the Women's Super League, Arsenal top along with Tottenham Hotspur. That's right, the two North London rivals control the table right now through 4 rounds. We're 4 rounds into the Women's Super League. Arsenal and Spurs 12 points apiece. That means 4 victories, no draws, and no defeats. Arsenal with 16 goals for, 2 against. That is a very impressive mark. As you know, anyone who can do basic math, that is 4 goals a game for the Arsenal ladies, who now feature Tobin Heath, former Manchester United U.S. international. Chelsea are third right now. They've got 3 wins and a draw. 3 wins and a defeat, 15 goals for, 5 against, and they have 9 points. Manchester United fourth with 9 as well. West Ham United ladies fifth with 7. Aston Villa ladies sixth with 7. Brighton Hove and Albion and Everton each have 6. Ninth place right now belongs to the struggling Manchester City. They've got 3. And then Leicester, Birmingham, and Reading all with 0 points. Okay, that segues to what we got coming up later this week. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the kickoff of the first ever UEFA Women's Champions League group stage. That's right, it has been a knockout tournament throughout its entire existence until now. This week, 16 teams will kick off this first ever group stage, which is phenomenal. This is 6 extra matches for a lot of these teams that would probably go out in this round normally. I'm super excited for it. I'm going to be watching closely all week. Just like the men's game, it is going to be played, in the same window, the Tuesday and Wednesdays, and I'm bringing up right now the groups, and I'll tell you who's playing who and who to look out for. All right. So in the Women's Champions League, Group A looks like this. It's the finalists from last year and the English champions, Chelsea. They're in Group A alongside Juventus, Switzerland's Servette, and Germany's VfL Wolfsburg. Group B. Group B is led by Breidablik is the team in the number 1 slot. Not really sure who they are. But the seeded team in the group is Paris Saint-Germain, the French champions, who last year dethroned the queens of French women's football, Olympique Lyon, who dominated for a decade or more. And they're joined in this group by Real Madrid Femenino. So there are some big hitters in this one. And then Zaytolbud Kharkiv they round out the group. So those are the 4 teams in Group B. In Group C, Arsenal, the leaders in the Women's Super League, are joined by the defending champions of the Women's Champions League. That's none other, of course, than Football Club Barcelona. Barcelona, the defending champions in this competition, beating Chelsea last year 5-0 in the final. And then HB Kog is there along with TSG 1899 Offenheim from Germany. And then Group D in the Women's Champions League, Swedish champion Haken, German champion Bayern München, the most dominant team in the history of women's football, Olympique Lyon. And then my girls, Benfica, debuting in the group stage, debuting in the round of 16, if you will. They went out in the round of 32 last year. The Portuguese champions playing way above their weight. They're punching way above their weight right now. This group is an absolute group of death for them. They're facing 3 of probably the best 10 teams in the world here. And this is going to be an exciting one. So here are the fixtures for this week. Tuesday, Haken hosts Olympique Lyon. Hoffenheim hosts Koge. Barcelona hosts Arsenal. That's a mouth-watering one. And Benfica hosts Bayern Munich this week. And that is going to be one tough one. And then on Wednesday, we got more. Servette will host Juventus. Kharkiv will host Real Madrid. Breidablik will host PSG, and Chelsea host Wolfsburg. We'll have a recap of this on next week's show, or I'll make an episode just for them, perhaps. We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we're going to run down the results in the Bundesliga, and then we got some news to talk about here on episode 74 of Parking the Bus. I am the Mr. Mike Agostinho. Take a moment now and go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Mike Agostinho. It's right there on your screen. It's at MikeAgostinho. And follow the show at PTB_media. We'll be right back, and check out www.parkingthebusmedia.com. Episode 74. I'm the Mr. Mike Agostinho, and I'm back with you now. So let's run down quickly in the Bundesliga. We had a big upset in this one. We actually had a couple, but this one, this league had a particular upset, I should say. Let's go right to it. Why don't we? As the matches in the Bundesliga kicked off on Friday. Cologne 3-1 winners at home over Greuther Fürth. Then on Saturday, the early one, it was Dortmund beating Augsburg. Goals from Rafael Guerrero from the penalty spot and Julian Brandt were enough to see Dortmund take the 3 points. They move within 1 point now of the leaders, Bayern Munich. And Zakiri pulled one back for Augsburg in that one. Hertha Berlin at home to Freiburg, and Freiburg go into the capital, into the Olympic Stadium, and they get the 3 points on the road. It's a 2-1 win for Freiburg. Stuttgart at home to Hoffenheim. Stuttgart win 3-1 over Hoffenheim. And the team that started the season so hot in the Bundesliga, they're cooling off quickly. It's Wolfsburg, of course, as they lose at home 3-1 to Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's right. The Wolfsburg have dropped 3 more points, and Mönchengladbach on the road with 3 big points for them. And then it was American Jesse Marsch, who's very much in the hot seat at RB Leipzig. He hosts Bochum in this one, and the American coach gets himself 3 points. Goals from Andreas Silva and from Christopher Nkunku were enough to see Red Bull through, or I shouldn't say Rasenball, Leipzig through this match, getting them the much needed 3 points as they're slowly trying to climb their way back through the table. They've been struggling this season, no doubt about it. When you lose a manager like Julian Nagelsmann, I talked about him in the last segment when we talked about Manchester United and how I thought he would have been the perfect candidate there. He did one heck of a job at Leipzig. And to be honest, the whole Red Bull family right now is doing very well. I mean, you got Leipzig here, you've got Salzburg in the Champions League and in the Austrian Bundesliga, and you got Bragantino in Brazil. That's another episode coming your way later this week. When I recap South American football later this week, we'll talk about Red Bull, Bragantino in their quest to win the Copa Sudamericana. The Red Bull family of clubs are doing very well. Leipzig want to keep pace. So 3 big points for Jesse Marsch there. And then today's match is Mainz lose 2-1 at home to Union Berlin. Here's the big one. It is Eintracht Frankfurt going into the Allianz Arena, famed Allianz Arena, and they beat Bayern Munich, snapping Bayern Munich's 30-match home unbeaten streak. Let's take a look at this one. Let's look at the lineups, okay? We'll start with the visitors, of course, from Frankfurt. In goal, it is Kevin Trapp, none other. He's the longtime goalkeeper for Eintracht. And they're 3 across the back. 3-4-2-1 is their formation. Tuta, Ilsanker, and Martin Hinterregger are the 3 in the back. Hinterregger is the captain. And then Almami Traore down the right. Timothy Chandler, the U.S. international, on the left. Remember him? And then Christian Jakic and Jabril So in the center of midfield behind the attacking midfielders, Filip Kostic and Jesper Lindstrom. And the striker is Rafael Santos Borre, the former River Plate striker. Very good goal scorer he is. For Bayern Munich, okay, one Julian Nagelsmann, who we've already talked about his name. This is the 3rd time we mentioned his name tonight. And he goes in a 4-2-3-1. His back, Manuel Neuer, the captain, of course, as always, in goal. His back 4, Nicolas Sule on the right. Deo Upamecano and Lucas Hernandez as the pair in the center of defense. And the Canada international, Alphonso Davies, is the left wing back. Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka are the double pivot in midfield behind 3 attacking midfielders, Serge Gnabry, Thomas Muller, and Leroy Sané. And they're playing behind none other than probably the greatest out-and-out striker in football today, the Polish superstar, Robert Lewandowski. So Bayern get on the board first in this one. Leon Goretzka scores to make it 1-0 in the 29th, but 3 minutes later, it is Hinteregger who will level it for the visitors. And in the 83rd minute, 7 minutes from time, Philippe Kostic, that is, will score the winner for the visitors. And Bayern Munich upset in this one. Not too often we hear about Bayern Munich losing in the Bundesliga. Very few people believe any other team is going to win this league other than Bayern Munich. This is such a good league, though. If you remove Bayern Munich, places 2-20 or 2-18, excuse me, there is less. In my belief, there is less of a gap between the 2nd team and the 18th team than in any other league in Europe. This is a league that is very balanced, a league with a high quality of play. If you like attractive attacking football, this is a league to watch. And right now, I mean, you've got a close race. It's still early, of course, but it's close. And the final match of the round saw Arminia Bielefeld host Bayer Leverkusen. And the visitors put a 4-0 hurting on Arminia Bielefeld. Goals for Diaby, 2 for Schick. Remember him from the Euros? And Demirbe picked up 1 in the 90th +2 from the penalty spot. So let's look at the table now in the Bundesliga. And Bayern Munich still lead, but they have the same amount of points as Leverkusen. It is 16 points for both of those teams right now. Bayern Munich with a 4-goal advantage in the goal difference. And it is in the goals scored. It's 24 goals scored to 7 allowed, whereas Leverkusen have 20 goals scored and 7 allowed. 3rd place, 1 point behind Borussia Dortmund. They're hanging in there this year. And they're going to hope to keep contact with the leaders for much longer this year than they did last year. Remember, last year they fell way behind, and it was only at the very end of the season that they catapulted into the Champions League positions, into the top 4 right now. 4th belongs to Freiburg. They also have 15 points. The former leaders, the team that started out the hottest, Wolfsburg, down to 5th. They've got 13 points from 7 matches. And Cologne right now in 6th with 12. Also on 12, Union Berlin. In 8th is RB Leipzig. They're up to 8th, I should say. They've got 10 points, as do Mainz and Mönchengladbach, rounding out the top 10. 11th belongs to Offenheim with 8 points. Also on 8 points is Stuttgart. And Frankfurt. 14th place is Hertha Berlin on 6. Augsburg is 15th with 5. Arminia Bielefeld is 16th with 4. They're in the relegation playoff spot right now, and they are ahead on goal difference ahead of Bochum, who are 17th also on 4. And then the promoted side, Greuther Fürth, is in 18th, just 1 point from 7 matches. Okay, so we're going to talk about some news items now, some things that have gone down in the last couple of weeks in the world of football. A lot of them are scrolling at the bottom of your screen for those of you watching on Twitter, on YouTube, or on Facebook right now, or on www.parkingthebusmedia.com. Okay. The FIFA Futsal World Cup culminated today. Shout out, of course, to my boys. Portugal win the World Cup. The tiny nation finally has a World Cup, okay, in futsal for the past 10, 12 years, maybe even longer. Always one of the best teams in the world, but always falling at the semifinal hurdle that had previously been the best. But today, 2 goals from Pani were enough for Portugal to beat the defending champions, Argentina, in Lithuania today. That was the FIFA Futsal World Cup final, a World Cup that featured the United States for the first time in quite some time. And there was just some real good action. I watched a lot of it. The best team I saw, honestly, if you don't follow futsal, you're gonna be shocked to hear this. But the team that I thought was the best and was really unlucky not to be in the final was Kazakhstan. Portugal beat them on penalties in the semifinal on Wednesday, I want to say it was. Maybe it was Thursday. But they were so good. If you know anything about futsal, if you follow futsal at all, you've heard of what the flying keeper is. And some teams use it better than others. It's when you use a field player. He comes on as the 5th attacker, but he plays as a goalkeeper. And there's different reasons for doing this. Some teams use it when they need a goal. Other teams use it to control the tempo and to keep the ball as a defensive mechanism. Well, Kazakhstan's goalkeeper is as good as a flying keeper. So they had Portugal pinned for the entire second half. Portugal clinging to a 1-0 result the other day against Kazakhstan. But Kazakhstan with their goalkeeper, okay, always playing 5 against 4, always, and always with the ball. Portugal could only hope to pick up. They were just making saves and blocks, and they had very little offense going. Kazakhstan, this was the game of the tournament too, by the way. Kazakhstan leveled it with under a minute to go. Okay, again, they actually took off their goalkeeper, brought on a flying goalkeeper who was more of a goal scorer. Okay, they took a little bit of a risk, but they finally, with the extra guy, were able to tie it with under a minute left. The game went to extra time. Kazakhstan scores again to make it 2-1. And then in the final minute of the second extra time, Portugal levels with their flying. They bring on their flying keeper. They level it, sending it to penalty kicks. Both teams, this is interesting, where it differs from 11-on-11 outdoor football is that you can switch your goalkeeper at any point in the shootout, and both teams used both of their goalkeepers. It was really interesting to watch, but in the end, Portugal won 4-3 on penalties, advanced to today's final against the world champions, Argentina. Argentina had a player sent off for punching Ricardinho in the stomach, literally cocking a fist and striking him in the stomach. It wasn't called at first. They went to the futsal equivalent of the VAR. It's called the virtual specialist or something like that. It's the VS. It's not the VAR. It's the VS. They went to the VS. And they showed that, and in futsal, the difference is you can actually make a challenge, like we see in American sports. Similar to in the NBA, when you think something's been called wrong, you can make a challenge. So Portugal made a challenge. They challenged a call. They looked at it. The referee made his sign, and he sent off the Argentinian player, which means that Portugal got to play 4-on-3 for 2 minutes. Okay, that's all. You only get 2 minutes of a man advantage. Then Argentina was able to add another player and go back. They did get the goal. Pani did score during that 4-on-3, during that 2-minute period with the man advantage right near the end of it. He would score again in the second half. Argentina would make it 2-1 almost immediately, and it was just sheer bedlam. It was just pressure. It was like the Kazakhstan game again. Argentina pressing and pressing and pressing. Portugal hold on though, and the best player in the world of the last decade, Ricardinho, with tears in his eyes, hoists the trophy. Portugal win the World Cup in men's futsal. Congratulations, of course, go out to them. For me, it was very, very special to see. Also going on in the news this week, okay? We have the finals set in South American continental competitions, okay? And there will be a show recapping these matches, okay? So it's coming this week. We're going to recap the semifinals of the Copa Libertadores and the semifinals of the Copa Sudamericana. In the Sudamericana, we had and all four finalists are from Brazil. That it has been the dominance. It's been a season of dominance for Brazilian football on the continent. Absolutely unrivaled. Okay, 6 out of the 8 teams that were in semifinals for the two, for combining both competitions were from Brazil. It's a very good mathematical probability that you would get these finals. But Red Bull Bragantino go in to Paraguay and they beat Libertad. Okay, they win 3-1. I want to say off the top of my head, I don't recall the exact result, but they had won the first leg 2-0. They advance to the final in Montevideo. The Centenario in Montevideo is hosting both finals, the Copa Sudamericana and the Copa Libertadores, 1 week apart at the end of November. Red Bull Bragantino will face their fellow Brazilian club, Atlético Paranaense. And if you remember, if you listen to this podcast, and if you watched or listened to this podcast since the beginning, okay, if you have listened to that, I said when the Brasileirão season started back in March, I want to say it was March, I said 2 teams to watch in this league that are going to catapult themselves from the mid-table to the top quarter of the table. The top 5 or 6 teams were Red Bull Bragantino and Atlético Paranaense. And now those 2 teams, as I believe I even said on this microphone, on the record, I predicted they'd be the 2 finalists in this competition, even before I knew which teams were going to drop from the Copa Libertadores into the Copa Sudamericana. But I can't believe that my prediction came true, because these are the 2 teams that we will find now in the finals. It'll be an exciting final. Both teams want to win it. Of course, they're not teams that have a lot of continental success. Atlético Paranaense has won the Copa Sudamericana before. Remember that the winner of the Copa Sudamericana has a direct spot in the group stage of the Copa Libertadores next season. For Bragantino, who's never been there, that's huge. And like I said, the Red Bull family of clubs, this is huge. They've got players here, and they had to sell their best player in this summer transfer window. Claudinho came back from the Olympics with Brazil, and he barely played for Red Bull Bragantino this season. He went to Zenit St. Petersburg for some big money in this summer transfer window. They haven't lost a step. Watch for these names. Watch for Praxedes. Watch for Artur Guimarães. Watch for Italo. These are some of the big names. Cuejo. These are some of the big names on Red Bull Bragantino. Looking forward to seeing how this final plays out. In the Copa Libertadores, well, we have the last 2 winners meeting up. That's right. The 2019 champions, Flamengo, advanced to the final this week, beating Barcelona de Guayaquil, one of the surprise teams and one of, quite honestly, my favorite teams to watch in this year's Copa Libertadores. From day one, I really enjoyed watching Barcelona de Guayaquil. They were phenomenal in the group stage, phenomenal in the knockout stage, getting all the way to the semifinals, but running into just probably one of, if not the best built sides in South America. Flamengo have just gotten stronger in this last transfer window. They picked up Andreas Pereira from Manchester United on loan. They picked up David Luiz, who signed from Arsenal. Okay, they've fortified their lineup. Okay, yes, they sold their guy, and now the name is escaping me, to Marseille, and I'll get that name for you in just a second, because he plays all the time for Marseille. And why I've been following this team for a couple of years, and his name has completely escaped me. But Gerson, thank you. They sold Gerson to Olympique Marseille this year for big money, but it's all good. It is all good because they've replaced him with Andreas Pereira from Manchester United. Flamengo win both legs 2-0. It's a 4-0 win overall for Flamengo. They're going to face Palmeiras, the 2020 champions, in the final. Abel Pereira, the Portuguese manager, takes his team to back-to-back Libertadores finals. They're also two of the top three teams in the Brasileirão, and you know there's a Brasileirão show dropping soon. That is my favorite league to cover, and I will be back this week with a recap of round 23, catching everyone up to speed. But that's what went down this week in South American football. Also, news that broke, if it wasn't this past week, it was at the end of the last week. Concacaf announced a revamp and an expansion in the Concacaf Champions League starting in 2023. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this. This is going differently than where I want to see this competition go. This is different than where I want this tournament to be. I really like the CONCACAF Champions League. I don't like that there's no group stage. I know why they don't have one. And that goes with the other news that came out of CONCACAF, okay? And it killed. The other news basically kills any opportunity for a real group stage. It's that MLS and Liga MX have expanded the Leagues Cup. So the Leagues Cup is essentially the European Super League for CONCACAF, if you will. Every team in Major League Soccer, every team in Liga MX starting in 2023 as well. I believe it's in 2023. They'll play a World Cup style format every summer. The two leagues will shut down. So I'm guessing this is going to take place in the month of July. That's my guess because that's when Liga MX is on vacation. And that money-hungry league and those money-hungry owners would love nothing more than to just play 12 months of the year. So I think that's when this Leagues Cup is going to form. You're going to have 39 teams. I don't know how they're going to get it down. I'm assuming they're going to have to play some preliminary games to get it down to 32 teams to have, 8 groups of 4. Eight groups of 4. And then have a round of 16, a quarterfinal, semifinal, final. And the top 4, I think they said, or top 3 places will get an automatic spot in the CONCACAF Champions League. It's just filling the CONCACAF Champions League with more MLS, more Liga MX. It's extra spots. So I really don't like it. But I guess on the flip side and on the good side is that Central America and the Caribbean are also getting more teams into the CONCACAF Champions League in this expanded format. And it's strengthened the regional tournaments both of those regions, both in the Central American part of the Confederation and in the Caribbean. Also, the news that came out of this is that this reserves spots in the CONCACAF Champions League for the CPL, for the Canadian Premiership. So they won't have to, the good news is the CPL will send a team to the CONCACAF Champions League. This part is great for football fans north of the 49th parallel in the True North Strong and Free. One of the I don't remember if it's one or two of the teams in the Canadian Premiership will go straight into the CONCACAF Champions League. They won't have to go through the 3 Canadian MLS teams. So I believe the Voyageurs Cup, and the CPL are the 2 ways for Canadian teams to get in. I'm not certain. I'll have to look at it again, and I'm sure it'll have to be hashed out and maybe argued still between now and then if Canadian teams can qualify through MLS. But they're going to be part of the Leagues Cup as well, so there's another opportunity to get teams in. We'll see how it breaks down. What it does that I don't like is it kills the opportunity for a real group stage in the CONCACAF Champions League. I know they had it before, and it didn't work out. I, for one, liked it, but the calendarization of this tournament, I don't like. The tournament works well the way it's going right now with the championship late in the year. Why are you crowning your continental champion in the first 4 months of the calendar year? and then playing the qualifying tournaments in the second half of the calendar. That makes zero sense. We are not in Europe. Our season does not go from September to May. Nowhere. In Mexico, they play 2 seasons in that time. In Major League Soccer and in the Canadian Premier League, we play from the beginning of the year to the end. We play through the North American summer. That's how we do it here. I don't want to. I know there's arguments for moving the calendar. I'm against that. I don't want to see football being played in 15 degrees with snow falling every week. Okay, the weather gets cold here, and it gets very cold. The majority of the teams are still in cold climates. I don't want to see northern teams go play away for 3 months. That's insane. I think that CONCACAF really dropped the ball here. I've always wanted to see a group stage in the early part of the year. Maybe this is just my Euro snobbery, if you will. Maybe I'm just Eurocentric. I'm sure. I don't know why we can't follow the same calendar in North America as they follow in South America. I know our seasons are different. It's winter here when it's summer there, but it just makes sense to follow that to play from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Okay, it's just too cold to play through the winter, and instead of having long breaks and a ton of away matches for teams from cold climates, unless you're going to put roofs on every stadium, which is more money than these teams have, it makes very little sense. But we're not going to get it my way. Like I said, this new Leagues Cup completely trumps any of that, and it also trumps my hope of seeing a true secondary tournament in CONCACAF. While the CONCACAF League is a decent tournament for the teams in it, it's the equivalent of again, here's my Euro snobbery, but it's the equivalent of the Europa League not having teams from the Big 5 leagues. I guess you can say Big 6 now that the French league has dropped out of the top 5. But essentially it's that. It is the CONCACAF League. It's not the next best teams it's not the teams in places 4 through 5 or 6 in the CONCACAF leagues. It's the best teams from all the countries that are not the United States or Mexico, and it's this, and that's their qualifying into the CONCACAF Champions League. But I would have liked to see the two competitions running concurrently, and I thought I would have loved to see a Europa-styled CONCACAF league with small, mid-table teams or a few more teams getting the opportunity to play continental football. But the problem is the duopoly of USSF and FMF, the Mexican Federation. They kind of make that impossible. Okay, they put themselves at the top. They don't want to. They don't want to travel to Central America. They don't want to travel to the Caribbean. If they could have their way, the CONCACAF Champions League would be just between them. So they created this Leagues Cup to essentially be that. I'm afraid that this new Leagues Cup is going to take precedent over the CONCACAF Champions League. I am, open to it. I'm going to see how it goes. I have not followed the Leagues Cup since its initiation. There's just too much football to watch that it just does not make it onto my radar, nor does the Champions Cup. What do they call it? The Copa Campeones. Whatever we had this week between Columbus Crew and Cruz Azul. I follow these two leagues, and I don't even know who won that game. It's just too much to keep track of. I wish that CONCACAF could be more streamlined. And it's funny that some of the people that are so against the European Super League love the idea of what's essentially a North American Super League. So we will wait and see how it pans out, but it probably will be more interesting, the Leagues Cup this way, and it'll be when nothing else is going on. But we'll see how it impacts. We'll see how it impacts the Gold Cup, because CONCACAF wants to have a Gold Cup anytime they can, or the Copa America. We have a lot of South American internationals playing in these two leagues. So we'll see if teams are even at full strength for this new revamped, expanded Leagues Cup. But that was the big news coming out of North America this week. Also, FIFA with big news this week as well. FIFA announced, and this affects this show directly, because my plan was to run Season 2 into December and end it season finale with the World Club Cup, or the Club World Cup final, because as those of you who listened to me long enough know, that's my busy season in my work life, and I work like 100 hours a week in December due to the heavy shipping craze during the Christmas season. But FIFA announced this week they are postponing this year's FIFA Club World Cup until 2022. So it's likely going to be played in February. So that remains to be seen. However, we will have two more teams qualifying in the next month and a half or so. The Concacaf Champions League final this month coming up. It's going to be Monterrey versus Club America, and they will square off for the CONCACAF Champions League title, while in South America, like we said, Flamengo and Palmeiras will play for their spot in that competition. But that competition now will be played in 2022, likely in February. So right now I'm thinking that this season of Parking the Bus will end. And if it falls on the same weekend, it'll be great with MLS Cup and the Liga MX final. Okay. And we'll start up again after the new year. As you know, I run this show's season through the calendar year, through the South American football calendar year. So season 2, we got about a month and a half. We got about 2 months left of season 2 of Parking the Bus here. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I'm really getting excited for what we got coming our way, as we've got Major League Soccer playoffs. Liga MX playoffs are not that far away, 7 or 8 weeks away, 7 or 8 rounds away. It's gonna be a good postseason this year. And if I'm not mistaken, the two leagues will end on the same weekend. MLS on a Saturday and Liga MX on a Sunday. And with New England in well in front in the Supporters Shield race, there is a chance that I can go on location to an MLS playoff game, and with a little luck, not that I'm rooting for them because I'm not necessarily, but if New England get to the final will be here in New England. It'll be freezing, but I will be there if that happens, and I'll be able to do some reporting, and we'll have a Parking the Bus episode from MLS Cup. That will be phenomenal. So in a way, I am kind of rooting for New England to get there, only for the sake of this show. But what I'm really excited about is the possibility of New England winning the Supporters Shield and getting some CONCACAF Champions League action at Gillette Stadium next year. I hope they don't do what they did the last time they were in it and play their home games in Bermuda just because it's cold. That would be stupid, first of all, because you have an advantage playing in the cold. And secondly, I want to be there and I want to cover it. I want to do some real on-site reporting. That'll be a lot of fun. I was unable to get to Philadelphia last month for that second leg against Club America for personal reasons. The same personal reasons why you haven't heard from me for about 6 weeks. But that's all cleared up now, and it's back to work. Okay, what I'm going to do now, we're going to go over the rosters for I know we've been going about an hour, but we're going to go over the rosters for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, okay? I'm going to put up on the screen here. We're going to start with the United States, okay? And here is the U.S. men's national team roster for the upcoming matches in World Cup qualifying. Here it is on your screen. Okay, here's who Greg Berhalter has called in. And dropping this week will be the debut episode of the Parking the Bus podcast, Road to Qatar. It'll be part 1. I'll recap the last international window, okay? And there will be a special focus on CONCACAF because I think this is a really good CONCACAF. This year, CONCACAF, I think, has a good sense of balance and a good sense. I think it's gonna be an exciting qualifying run, especially with so many games jammed into such a short period of time. But here is the squad Greg Berhalter has called in. He's got for goalkeeper Sean Johnson, Zach Steffen of Manchester City, and the most informed. And I'm gonna be honest, the guy I think deserves to continue to be the number 1 because he plays day in and day out. New England Revolution's Matt Turner. Here's the defenders: George Bello, John Anthony Brooks returns, Serginho Dest. Oh, I haven't even gotten to talk about Barcelona. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Serginho Dest is there. Mark McKenzie, Shaq Moore, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, DeAndre Yedlin. There's your defenders. The midfielders: Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams of RB Leipzig, Gianluca Busio now of Venezia, no longer with Sporting Kansas City. Luca De La Torre, Sebastian Lletget, who was very good in the last international window. Weston McKennie returns, of course, the Juventus midfielder. If you didn't know, was sent home or was sent back to Juventus early last international window for breaking team rules. Charlie Davies had a very insightful opinion on this, given his personal history. If you don't know, that Charlie Davies once broke team rules as well and ended up getting in a car accident when he was supposed to be with his team. He snuck out, got in a bad car accident, and basically his career was never the same again. Janus Musha returns here, and Christian Roldan also in the midfield, and then the forwards. RB Salzburg's Brendan Aronson, Paul Areola, Matthew Hoppe, Ricardo Pepi of FC Dallas is back, Tim Weah, and Giassi Zardes. That's right. PFUC is not there, despite the season he is having for Young Boys right now. And Greg Berhalter has, he has some tough decisions to make. He actually has a decently deep squad, and he's got he's got some decisions to make at every window, and you're never gonna please everybody. And I feel like when it comes to national teams, this is a good thing for the United States. When you always have somebody that deserves to be there who's not there, and you only can bring so many. But he's bringing 27 into Austin for this camp. All right. Elsewhere in CONCACAF, because this is a CONCACAF heavy show, and because we love Liga MX and Mexican football here, let's take a look at Mexico's team. I'll put that up for you right now. Okay, this is courtesy of Wikipedia because I couldn't find it anywhere else, but they are pretty good with this. Here is Mexico's squad for this one. And the four goalkeepers: Memo Ochoa of Club America, Alfredo Talavera of Pumas, Tijuana's Jonathan Orozco, and Leon's Rodolfo Cota. The defenders: Hector Moreno of Monterrey, Jesus Gallardo of Monterrey, Celta Vigo's Nestor Arrojo, Luis Rodriguez of Tigres, Julio Cesar Dominguez of Cruz Azul, Cesar Montes of Club America, Cesar Montes of Monterrey, Jorge Sanchez of Club America, Osvaldo Rodriguez of León, and Johan Vasquez playing in Serie A for Genoa. The midfielders: Real Betis's Andres Guardado, the captain, Hector Herrera from Atletico Madrid, LA Galaxy's Jonathan Dos Santos, Edson Alvarez of Ajax, Orbelín Pineda of Cruz Azul, Uriel Antuna of Chivas, Carlos Rodriguez of Monterrey, Luis Romo of Cruz Azul, Sebastian Cordova of Club America. And the return of this man right there, that's right, we talked about in the Premier League portion of the show. Raul Jimenez returns to the Mexican national team a year and a half later after his very dangerous head injury. The Wolves striker is back in the national team setup. And Tecatito Corona also in there, the Porto player. Chucky Lozano of Napoli returns also after his long injury. Henry Martin of Club America, he's in there. Rogelio Funes Mori, the naturalized Argentine-born, American-raised Rogelio Funes Mori, he is back in the lineup. The Monterrey striker. He is expected to compete with Raul Jimenez for that number 9 position, and Alexis Vega of Guadalajara rounds out the team for Tata Martino and for his side that he has called in for this next qualifying phase. Don't think we forgot about the other big team in North America. Okay, and I've been big on this team since the Gold Cup. They've played fantastic, in my opinion, in the first 3 matches of this qualifying phase of this octagonal final. So let's take a look at Canada's lineup for this upcoming international window. And it's coming your way right now. There we go. Here is Canada's team. They will play matches against Mexico, Jamaica, and Panama on the 7th, 10th, and 13th of this month. Goalkeepers Milan Borjan of Red Star Belgrade, Maxime Crépeau of Vancouver Whitecaps, and James Pantemis of Montreal. I want to call them the Impact. You know what? To me, there will always be Le Impact. So he is in there. The defenders, Donnell Henry, or Daniel, is it Henry? Is he one of the, I don't know if he's a French Canadian or if he's just Canadian. So I believe judging by his first name, I'm going to say it's Henry. He plays for Suwon Blue Wings in the K-League. Alphonso Davies, of course, is back. Only 20 years old, Alphonso Davies. I feel like he's been around for so long. The Bayern Munich wingback will be in the lineup. I don't expect him to play as a wingback. Expect him to play more in an attacking role. Steven Vitória of Moreirense in the Portuguese League. The former Philadelphia Union, Benfica, and Futebol Clube de Porto defender returns, as does Sam Adkubi of Hatayspor in the Turkish League, Turkish Super League. Richie Larea is back. The TFC defender is in the team, as well as Kamal Miller of Montreal, Alistair Johnson of Nashville SC, and Derek Cornelius of Panetolikos in the Greek Super League. Zachary Brault-Guillard of Montreal rounds out the list of defenders. Here's where the firepower for me really starts for this team. And this team needs to be taken serious. And, I saw a lot of U.S. fans really uneducated on this team when they talked about and when they criticized the result of the United States and Canada in that 1-1 match last time in September. It was a very good match. It was a great result for Canada, obviously, but this is a good Canadian team. And this midfield is led, of course, by one of the legends of Canadian football, Atiba Hutchinson of Besiktas. The 38-year-old is still in this lineup, and what a testament to his resiliency, to his longevity, that he is still in this Canada setup. 88 caps for him, 8 goals. Samuel Piette of Montreal is in there as well. Jonathan Osorio of TFC, very good midfielder. He's in there. Mark Anthony Kay of Colorado Rapids. My favorite player in this team, maybe I'm a little biased, but it is Stefan Eustáquio of Paços de Ferreira. Maybe a little bit because he grew up 20 minutes away from where my father's from in Portugal. But hey, what are you going to do? He is in the Concacaf context for me. He is a player. He is a Jorginho type holding midfielder who just does it all. And he's like an orchestrator. And ever since he's come into this Canadian team, they've been that much better. And this is where they started to get their results. They made a great run in the Gold Cup. Okay. They did a great job to get to this octagonal. And for me, they're one of the teams I pick to advance to the World Cup. I think they're going to come in the top 3 along with the United States and Mexico. Time will tell, but he's only 24 years old. He played all of his youth national team years for Portugal. He switched after U21. He switched to the nation of his birth, Canada, and he has been a great addition to this team ever since coming in. Liam Fraser of Columbus Crew and David Witherspoon of St. Johnstone of the Scottish Premier League. And now for me, probably this is going to upset some U.S. fans and maybe some Mexico fans as well. I think the best strikers and best forwards in CONCACAF are on this Canadian team. This is one of them right here, 26-year-old Kyle Larin of Besiktas. 42 caps for him, former Orlando City player. He's got 20 goals and 42 caps. He leads the attackers along with Junior Hoylett, who is very, very good. He plays his club football for Reading FC, very experienced player. Lucas Cavallini, this guy, I remember him in the Mexican league, in the Liga MX. He is a Uruguayan-born Canadian, or he might have been Canadian-born, but he's of Uruguayan descent, and he's a very, very big, strong forward. They have a couple of those big, strong forwards. This guy as well, everybody knows the 21-year-old Jonathan David of Lille, one of the key ingredients in Lille winning the French Ligue 1 de Championnat last season. He is in there as well. Tajon Buchanan is well known to fans of Major League Soccer. He is on the New England Revolution on loan from Club Brugge, and he's 22 years old, and he was fantastic last month in those 3 matches. Liam Millar of FC Basel is there as well. 11 caps for the 22-year-old. He's back in the lineup. Charles Andreas Bryn of Eindhoven is in there as well. He's only got 3 caps, but he's got a goal. And Jacob Schaffelberg of Toronto FC is 21 years old. There's some good youth in this Canada side. Here is what this round of Concacaf qualifying will look like. And like I said, we'll get into this more when we have the road to Qatar episode coming your way later this week. But here's what we got coming up all the way here at the bottom. Excuse me. As I get the octagonal here somewhere. Give me one moment. SofaScore is not my friend right now. Here's the octagonal right now. As it stands, CONCACAF third round. Mexico leads with 7 points. Canada second with 5. Actually, they're tied in everything with the United States. I think the head-to-head has Canada ahead only because they drew 1-1 in the United States, and I think that away goal ends up being the tiebreaker for now. Panama right now, fourth. They're also on 5 points. So you're starting to see a separation between these 4 and these 4. And Costa Rica looks just like a shadow of what they used to be. They look like an aging side. I don't see Costa Rica qualifying for this World Cup. I think the 4 you see there at the top are the 4 that are going to battle for those 3 spots. Honduras also on 2 points. El Salvador have 2 points as well with 2 draws and a loss. But I really think El Salvador are by far the weakest team in this octagonal. Jamaica right now only have 1 point, however. But here's the matchups for round 4 on the 10th of October. Sorry, on the 7th of October. Mexico host Canada at the Azteca. United States host Jamaica in Austin. Honduras host Costa Rica. So one of them will have a chance to make up some ground if they can win, and El Salvador will host Panama. We'll get into it more, like I said, when we do our episode on the road to Qatar. Okay, going back now to Euro leagues and closing out the big ones. We're going to go to Serie A and check in before we end this episode 74. Actually, we got two more leagues to look at. So let's go to Serie A and see how it went down today, and we'll finish up with La Liga. Okay, this weekend's matches in Serie A started on Friday. Cagliari won. Venezia won. Venezia, of course, featuring Gianluca Busio, who we just talked about. Goals in this one. Balde scored for Cagliari, and Gianluca Busio, speaking of him, with the tying goal in the 90th, +2 for Venezia, picking up a big point for them as the team from the famous city picks up a point in their fight to stay in Serie A. Saturday's matches: Salernitana 1-0 winners at home over Genoa. In the Torino derby, the derby de Torino, it was Torino 0, Juventus 1. Max Allegri's side starting to find their form a little bit. 2 wins this week, a big one over Chelsea in the Champions League, and now winning their local derby against their rivals, Torino. And Sassuolo unable to stop the champions Inter, win 2-1 at Sassuolo. They pick up 3 points. They get their goals from Edin Dzeko and from Lautaro Martinez, while Sassuolo's goal came from none other than Domenico Berardi, one of the stars of Euro 2020 for Italy. Today's action early, it was Bologna with a shocking 3-0 win over Lazio. Lazio still hung over their victory over their rivals Roma a week ago in the Derby della Capitale, as it was a very heated affair. And when you throw in Maurizio Sarri and Jose Mourinho into the mix, it just steams the heat for the rivalry even more. Lazio brought crashing back down to earth this week. Hellas Verona 4-0 winners at home over Spezia. Sampdoria 3, Udinese 3. And then Roma, the team we just mentioned, coached by Jose Mourinho, they get back on track after losing to Lazio last week, but winning midweek in the Conference League. They get back on track in the Serie A. Goals from Pellegrini and from Mkhitaryan, and they are 2-0 winners over Empoli. Fiorentina fight but are unable to stop the streak of Napoli. Napoli now the only team in the Big Six. I'm going to call it six from now on because France is not in fifth anymore. In the Big Six to stay perfect this season. This week we saw PSG and Benfica in Portugal, the other two leagues in the where we had perfect teams at the top. Both of them lost. We saw Bayern Munich lose. We saw Real Madrid lose. A lot of teams involved in Champions League dropping points this weekend. Not Napoli, however. Napoli win 2-1, and they stay perfect. 7 victories from 7 matches. And in the big one for the weekend, it's Atalanta hosting Milan. And let's take a look at the lineups for this one really quickly here. As Atalanta go with a 3-4-2-1. Juan Musso is the goalkeeper. Jose Luis Palomino is in the back three with Di Meral and Berat Jimitsi. The 4 in midfield in front of him, Davide Zappacosta is one of the wingbacks. The other wingback is Joachim Mela, and Martin Derun and Remo Freuler are the double pivot in midfield behind Matteo Pessina and Ruslan Malinovsky, as they are the attacking midfielders behind the striker Duvan Zapata. For AC Milan, for the Rossoneri, they come into this one with a 4-2-3-1 as well. Mike Mangan is their goalkeeper. Of course, he was the goalkeeper for Lille last season in Ligue 1 and managed to win the Championnat. And he had a transfer, over the summer to replace. It's getting late. It's getting late here. To replace Donnarumma, thank you. His name completely escaped my mind for a moment. Talked about him all summer on this podcast during Euro 2020, and I lost his name there for a moment. But yes, Menyan is replacing Donnarumma at the Rossoneri. The 4 in the back, you have the captain Davide Calabria as the right wing back. Simon Krajer and Fikayo Tomori are the central defenders. Theo Hernandez, the left back. Frank Kessier and Sandro Tonali are the double pivot behind 3 attacking midfielders: Alexis Salamakers, Brahim Diaz, and Rafael Leão. The Portuguese picks up another goal in this one, and the striker was Ante Rebic. The final score: Atalanta 2, AC Milan 3. The Rossoneri pick up a big win on the road in Bergamo. Goals in this one: Zapata scored from the penalty spot in the 86th, and Pasalic in the 90th +4. 2 late goals from Atalanta, not enough, as Milan picked up one from Calabria in the first, Tonali in the 43rd, and Leão in the 78th. 3 points for Milan. Let's look at the table now. Napoli, top of the table, like we said, perfect through 7 rounds, 7 victories, 21 points. Milan second on 19. Inter third on 17. Roma fourth on 15 points. Then it's Fiorentina in fifth with 12. And then a number of teams with 11, 4 to be exact. And the tiebreaker goes to Lazio. They're sixth. Juventus are seventh. Atalanta eighth. And Bologna ninth. All 4 teams with 11 points. Like we said, Empoli 10th with 9. Torino 11th with 8, as are Hellas Verona and Udinese, as they each have 8. Sassuolo in 14th right now with 7 points. Sampdoria 15th with 6. Genoa, their crosstown rivals, are 16th on 5 points. Venezia out of the basement, out of the drop zone with this draw, thanks to Gianluca Busio. They have 5. Salernitana have 4. Spezia also on 4. And Cagliari are 20th with 3 points. Okay, La Liga is our last stop today. And perhaps I might get carried away because when I talk about this, I tend to get carried away. Barcelona, the ship is sinking, so they say. what I need to say about this, and those of you that listen to my show, my Mr. Benfica show, episode 126 dropped this week, I talked about this match because they played, Barcelona lose 3-0 at Benfica this week on Wednesday, okay? They lose 3-0 at Benfica. And the whole world is blaming Ronald Koeman, and I feel the need to say Ronald Koeman is not the one who was running this club on credit for 10 years. Running it on money they don't have. How does a team that is worth this much money and have this many fans, this many paying members, how are they so in such a pathetic financial state right now? It makes no sense. They're just so poorly run. Ronald Koeman is not to blame for that. It is not Ronald Koeman's fault. This team was too ignorant and too thick-headed to realize they had to sell Lionel Messi 2 years ago. Maybe they should have listened to me. He needed to go. They were living in this romantic dream that they were going to keep Lionel Messi forever. Lionel Messi had to be sold. Instead, he walked out for free. He went to PSG for nothing. PSG paid nothing to Barcelona for all those years that they helped mold Lionel Messi. That in itself should cost the job of every single member of this board. And you know what this membership did? Barcelona, the socios, you know what they did? They had an election. And instead of electing a president to move forward, a president who had some kind of business acumen that could understand where this club was, it's not rocket science. They re-elect Juan Laporta. Why? Because he says he's going to keep Messi. Well, he didn't keep Messi. He didn't sell him. He just couldn't register him. You got Piqué and Jordi Alba and company taking pay cuts so you can register players. Sell Lionel Messi, and then this problem would have been averted. This is not Ronald Koeman's fault. This is Joan Laporta's fault for running on a platform that he was going to save this club by keeping Lionel Messi. That was never going to save this club. Barcelona's getting everything they deserve right now. They deserve what's happening to them. Yes, they lost once again this weekend, and I was happy about it. Ayup Atleti. That's right. It was a weekend with a big match. It was Barcelona coming off those heels. Ronald Koeman not even on the bench. He's suspended for this one. Versus Simeone's Atletico Madrid. And listen, Barcelona is still going to finish in the top 4. I disagree with Leo, who was on this show a month and a half ago or so, previewing this season, saying they wouldn't even make the Champions League. I think that they're gonna get this one way or another. And part of the reason, one of the things I said from a Benfica standpoint was that I was glad we got Barcelona now. When we face them in match day 6, it's going to be a whole different story. By then, they're going to get something going, in my opinion, with or without Ronald Koeman. But do you know why they still have Ronald Koeman? And everyone's calling for his head, right? And Juan Laporta did not want him. He told him he didn't want him. He said as much, that he didn't want him. He had to keep him because, one, Barcelona don't have the money to pay his exit clause. They have no grounds to fire him. They've given him nothing. Did you not see how pathetic that was Wednesday? When his so-called captain, Piqué, should have been sent off, wasn't. Didn't even care that he was yanked at 30 minutes. He was subbed off at 30 minutes. And the only option that Ronald Koeman has is to send in a 17-year-old midfielder and move Luke de Jong into defense. How do you give this manager this team and then blame him? Well, it's easy because Joan Laporta knows as long as Ronald Koeman is there, he can't be blamed. Everyone can turn the blame to Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman is a victim here, but he made a poor decision when he left the Dutch national team. He missed Euro 2020 to coach this joke of a club that they've become. Why? Because he thought with his heart and not with his head. He loves that club. He loves Barcelona. He played there. He lifted a trophy there. Their first Champions League. He was there. He loves that club. It was his dream of his entire career to coach Barcelona. The timing was all wrong. This club is disastrous. This club is a cancer right now that needs to be cleaned out. He never should have taken this position. He should have stayed with the Netherlands. Should have gone to Euro 2020. He should be prepping for Qatar 2022. Instead, he's dealing with this nonsense and being blamed for things that have nothing to do with him. He's not the one that mismanaged the club. He's not the one that didn't sell Lionel Messi. He's not the one who squandered all of this money, okay? He's not the one who went to get Antoine Griezmann for no reason and then loan him back. Maybe you can blame him for not wanting him, but he's not the one that went out to get that, okay? It was another president that decided that Suarez was not part of the club, and then Suarez goes to Luis Suarez goes to Atletico Madrid and wins the league, and then he scores against them this weekend. Sweet justice. But I guess you could blame. Maybe you can blame Koeman for that. I don't remember anymore if he was already the manager, but Ronald Koeman should never have left the Dutch national team. This is a mistake, a miscalculation, much like the one Jose Mourinho took when he took over Manchester United. With hindsight being 2020, the club he always wanted to manage. Most people don't believe that was true. It's in his autobiography. He always wanted to replace Sir Alex Ferguson. He had so much respect for him. He took over Manchester United at a bad time. And sometimes you have to wait for the right timing, but you don't always know if you're going to get the chance. I get it, but it doesn't work out here for Ronald Koeman. Who knows how long he's going to be there, but here's the thing. Who in their right mind wants to go take over? The problems he's having right now don't go away with the new manager coming in. I laugh when I see journalists talking about Andrea Pirlo coming in. What is Andrea Pirlo going to do with this Barcelona team? Put himself in? Short of that, that's about all he can do. He's not going to. He's 40-some years old. Obviously, his playing days are done. But your only option is to put more kids in there. And you know what? Their kids got spanked this week in the UEFA Youth League to Benfica as well. 4-0. La Masia is dried up. Laporta's solution is the Super League. That's his solution. He's as ignorant and thick-headed as is, the presidents of Real Madrid and of Juventus, who they think the only way to save their clubs is the European Super League. No. Learn how to run a club. The problem was you all got greedy, and you thought that this bubble was never going to burst. And it bursted early. I do admit that. No one foresaw COVID coming, but COVID only accelerated the bursting of the bubble. Clubs were spending irresponsibly for years. It was bound to happen sooner or later. If it wasn't this, something else would have spurned it at some other point. I feel zero sympathy for Florentino Perez, for Juan Laporta. Okay, I feel zero sympathy for them. Barcelona and Real Madrid can lose every week for me. There will be no sympathy. I don't care what they've done historically. They put themselves in this mess. They deserve what they're getting. Well done to Sheriff, by the way. Let's go to the results then this week. Starting Friday, Athletic Bilbao 1-0 winners over Deportivo Alaves. Osasuna 1-0 winners over Rayo Vallecano. Mallorca 1-0 winners over Levante. Cadiz 0-0 at home to Valencia. And then the match we just talked about. Let's look at the lineups here. It is Atletico Madrid, the defending champions, hosting Barcelona. The lineup starting with the Catalans, and Alfred Schroeder was sitting in for Ronald Koeman in this one. Marc-Andre ter Stegen, someone who I called, into question for his performance on Wednesday in the Champions League. Thought he should have been better. He gets to start. The four across the back. Oscar Mingueza is the right back with Ronald Araujo and Gerard Piqué as the center backs. And Serginho Dest, once again, left out to dry as a left back. He is not a left back. Barcelona literally have no options here. Sergio Busquets and Nico Gonzalez get the start as double pivots, with Philippe Coutinho, Frankie de Jong, and Pablo Gaviria or Gavi in the attacking midfield. And I need to correct myself. I think I said Luke de Jong a little while ago. I meant Frankie de Jong. He's the one that had to slide in as a center back on Wednesday. Memphis Depay starts as the lone striker in what is an absolutely hopeless job for him. For Atletico Madrid, for Simeone, he starts, of course, with Jan Oblak in goal. His three-man back line: Stefan Savic, Jose Jimenez, and Mario Hermoso. The wingbacks are Marcos Llorente on the right and Yannick Carrasco on the left. Three in the center of midfield, anchored by Koke, Thomas Lamar to his left, Rodrigo de Paul, the Argentine international, to his right. And the attack pairing for this match is Luis Suarez and João Felix. And Luis Suarez, once again, a key figure in this one, but it would be Thomas Lamar who scores in the 23rd, and then Luis Suarez doubles it before halftime. Atleti take the lead 2-0. They do not squander it. Big 3 points for the champions. Barcelona fall further behind. Like I said, eventually I do believe Barcelona will right this. There's some natural talent there, but and there's players not playing well. Piqué's playing horrible. Okay. Eric Garcia was horrible midweek. He was beaten too easily by Darwin Nunez. Philippe Coutinho was not even, you didn't even know he came in. You notice still not in the starting lineup here is Ansu Fati. They're putting all their hopes on this kid. They're calling him the next Messi. They need to pump the brakes on that, and they need to really stop trying to identify with one player to carry them like they've done for the last 15 years, unfortunately. Before, remember, they were very good, but before Messi was the key guy, it was Ronaldinho. Okay? You have to remember that. And those were loaded teams, and they still put all their hopes in Ronaldinho. And when Ronaldinho left, it all fell on Lionel Messi. And Lionel Messi, being a once-in-a-lifetime type of player, actually took those expectations on his shoulders and carried them and actually lived up to them. But again, poor running of the club, poor foresight. Saw them hang on to him too long. They get nothing for him when he leaves. And they're in the shambles they're in now, especially financially, because they couldn't bear the thought of having to part way with their star rather than cashing in and saving the club long term. Matches today: Elche 1-0 winners at home to Celta Vigo. Espanyol, Club Real Espanyol, at home to Real Madrid. And wouldn't you know, Raul de Tomas, RDT, my boy, picks up a goal in the 17th minute. Vidal adds another in the 60th. Benzema pulls one back in the 71st. But once again, Real Madrid lose. Carlo Ancelotti, why did you leave Everton? Again, just like Coleman, why did you leave a good job to go to a dumpster fire? I'm enjoying it, though. Espanyol win 2-1 over Real Madrid. And Los Blancos drop 3 points once again. Getafe 1, Real Sociedad 1, Villarreal 2, Real Betis 0, Granada 1, Sevilla 0. If there's any team in La Liga this year that should be pouncing on this opportunity, I've said it before, that should be laser focused on La Liga, it is Sevilla. This is their year to push for the title. Atleti have dropped points. Atleti, as good as they are not consistent. Real Madrid are a dumpster fire. Barcelona are a dumpster fire underwater that is soaked in gasoline. I mean, there's no words to explain what's going on at these big clubs. Sevilla with the prime opportunity to jump in, they don't get it done. Villarreal, though, they pick up 3 points. Let's take a look at the table. Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Real Sociedad are sharing the top spot today at the end of this week, actually, on 17 points, all three of them. Sevilla, fourth place, 3 points back with 14. Osasuna right now in fifth with 14 as well. And Rayo Vallecano are sixth on 13 points. Also on 13 points, Athletic Club Bilbao, Valencia, Barcelona, Real Betis on 12 points, all three of them, 8th, ninth, and 10th, respectively. Villarreal, Mallorca, 11th and 12th with 11 points. Espanyol, 13th with 9. Elche, 14th with 9. Cadiz and Celta Vigo with 7 each. Granada, 17th right now, 2 points clear of the drop with 6 points. Levante with 4. Deportivo Alaves are 19th with 3. And Getafe with 1. Getafe's 1 point, if I'm not mistaken. It was this weekend, actually. Getafe's they nearly beat Atleti 2 weeks ago. They were winning 1-0 until very late. Today they pick up their 1 point finally, and that was, as we just said, against Real Sociedad, who are joint leaders. That is La Liga for you, and this has been episode 74 of Parking the Bus. Like I said, more programming coming your way this week. Be on the lookout for an episode on Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. Another one on Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. And one on the road to Qatar at the very least. But I also want to get a Brasileirão episode and a Liga MX and MLS episode out as well. Maybe all three of those in one episode. We'll see what time we'll allow this week. But one thing's for sure, next Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you're not watching the NFL, be right here with me, okay, at www.parkingthebusmedia.com or on Twitter at PTB_media. All right, this has been episode 74. I'm the Mr. Mike Agostinho signing off for this week, and I'll see you here again next time. All right, make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube. Hit the little bell down there, okay, so that you subscribe and are alerted when I go live. And also make sure you subscribe to Parking the Bus wherever you get your podcast, preferably Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those two are key. Make sure you subscribe and leave a rating, okay? And I'll be back with more content throughout the week. We also got UEFA Women's Champions League. Probably talk about that next week. And if we don't, we'll catch up in MLS and Liga MX next Sunday as those leagues start to make their push towards their playoffs. There's lots to talk about. We could talk all night about football. There's so many leagues and so many games. But whatever your taste is, I hope you enjoy it and enjoy the football this week. It's an international break, so may your national teams do you proud. And we'll talk all about it next week here on Parking the Bus. I'm the Mr. Mike Agostinho. Peace out, and I'll talk to you next time.